As you set out to buy property in the District of Columbia, or anywhere really, one of the things you want to think about first is what type of home do you want? Do you want a standalone home? Do you want a row home? Or are you looking for a unit inside of a building, a condo or a co-op? Co-what, you may say? What's a co-op? How is that different than a condo? Is there a difference? The difference between a co-op and a condo. I'm Sherri Green with Coldwell Banker. Welcome to my YouTube channel that guides home sellers and home buyers in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. So a condo versus a co-op, what is the difference? Is there a difference, and why do you need to know that? That's what we're going to talk about today, is if you are setting out to buy a unit inside of a building, you can buy a condo or you can buy a co-op. A co-op is a shorter name for a cooperative or a corporation. Let me explain. Just as with condos, co-ops are located throughout the city and are a shared building experience. Typically, co-ops were started when tenants of apartment buildings banded together, created a corporation, and they bought their building. They wanted to own their building and not have a landlord, so they formed this corporation, got an underlying mortgage, and bought the building. Co-ops are very similar to condos in that you occupy a unit of the building and you share in the common expenses. There are four main differences between a condo and a co-op. They are ownership, finances, fees, and membership. Let's start with ownership. We touched on that earlier. In a co-op, you own shares inside a corporation. With a condo, you own real property. When you purchase a condo, you are purchasing your unit and the right to use the common spaces. You are buying from the walls in and the ceiling and the floor in, if you will, and you are contributing to the common expenses of the building, and you get to share in the use of those common expenses. Whether they are the elevator or the pool or the roof deck, you are sharing in the common expenses and you get to share the use of those common elements with your neighbors in the condo association. In a co-op, you're not buying real property, you're buying shares in a corporation. Those shares give you the right to use your unit, to modify your unit, basically to own your unit, and also the addition of the use of the common spaces. In both situations, you're sharing the expenses of the building, but sometimes the expenses can be a little different. The shares that you own in that corporation are directly attributed to the size of your unit. So someone with a 2-bedroom unit has more shares in the corporation than someone with a studio. When you purchase a condo, you become a member of the condo association. When you buy shares of a co-op, you become a stakeholder in a corporation. Let's talk about the differences in financing between a condo and a co-op. When buying a condo, you're getting a mortgage, just like when you buy a house. When you're buying a unit inside a co-op, you're actually taking out a personal loan to buy the shares of stock that you will enjoy, that relate to the unit that you will live in. So what's the difference in a mortgage and a personal loan? They're different loan products. Now, what lenders have done is actually make these personal loans very competitive to mortgages. So you'll find that you're likely going to get a very similar, if not the exact same interest rate for purchasing a co-op unit that is the same size as a condo unit that's right across the street. But it is a different type of loan. And with that, some lenders don't lend on co-ops. There are certain lenders who are set up to handle these types of loans, and you're going to want to talk to your lender to see if they can lend on a co-op, or if not, oftentimes the co-ops themselves have preferred lenders who work a lot in the building, write a lot of personal loans for the different units in the building, and they can guide you to a list of lenders who would be helpful to work with if you're purchasing a co-op. One of the other differences to think about, because it can make a difference in your finances, is with a condo, you're getting a mortgage, and there are lots of different loan products these days for mortgages. With a co-op, however, oftentimes the building rules, the co-op rules, have a set percentage that you have to put down. What a co-op is really doing in this situation is looking to make sure that their co-op shareholders will be able to afford the unit that they are buying. Co-ops are very focused on owner-occupied units, and with that, they oftentimes have a down payment minimum. It can be as much as 20%. I've even seen it as high as 25%. And that is done because they want to make sure that the purchaser is very invested in the upkeep and the care of the property. So when you go to look at down payment, purchase price, monthly payment, personal loan versus a mortgage, make sure you're looking at those finance questions so that you know you have the proper down payment saved up if you're going to purchase a co-op. The other piece of the finance puzzle that is different with a co-op is some cooperatives, some co-op buildings have an underlying mortgage. They have taken out an underlying mortgage to buy their building or to do capital improvements. And part of the way you are financing the purchase of your co-op unit is through that underlying mortgage. Now, it's not going to push you to pay more for a co-op than a condo. Co-ops are typically priced slightly lower than condos that are the same size. And the reason is that the financing of them is different. So you are paying your monthly loan payment, and you might be paying part of an underlying mortgage payment as the building works to pay off the mortgage they took out to buy the home or to do the capital improvements. When you sit down to look at the paperwork, it will make a lot more sense. But the thing to know is that with a condo, you have a mortgage. With a co-op, you have a personal loan, and you could have an underlying mortgage payment for the building. In the end, your monthly payment should be very similar if you're buying the same size condo or co-op. The taxes are also a little bit different. In a condo, you're going to get a real property tax bill from your jurisdiction. You might get that annually, or in the district, we get one total bill, but we pay half in the spring and half in the fall. In a co-op, however, the building gets the tax bill. So you're not getting a real property tax bill from the city. You are actually paying a portion of your annual tax bill each month inside your co-op fee. When you look at the two monthly fees side by side for the same size condo versus co-op, the fees are going to look different, and it can be off-putting to some people at the beginning. But when you realize that the co-op fee is taking into account that little monthly payment of your taxes versus your condo fee does not, you're putting that away in a different manner, the monthly payment really ends up being about the same for the same size condo unit compared to the same size co-op unit. The last difference in a condo and a co-op is board approval. Now, if you've watched Sex and the City or some other things, you might find some funny stories about co-op board interviews and their approval. A co-op cannot reject you simply because you have different personalities than the board members. There are only two reasons that a co-op can reject you, and that is a financial inability to pay the monthly fees or an expressed unwillingness by you to follow the co-op rules. Now, co-op rules can be different than condos. They may have very strict rules on how you can, or even if you can, rent your unit. Now, why is that? Co-ops are very focused on owners living in the building. They bought their building because they didn't want to be tenants and they wanted to have ownership. So they are very focused on ownership. That's why there is oftentimes the 20% down, and that is oftentimes why they don't allow renting of their units. They want the people living in their building to be the people who own that building. That's their whole function. Fair housing rules also apply to co-op boards, so it is absolutely illegal for them to deny you membership in the co-op over any protected class of the Fair Housing Act. So what's the right thing to buy, a condo or a co-op? The truth is it's going to matter based on your situation. If your finances are such that you can put down 20 or 25% and you don't really care if you get a mortgage or a personal loan, it may come down to which building you love, which unit you like, what neighborhood you want to be in. The experience is very much the same. You live in a unit inside a building with neighbors. It's just a matter of how you purchase that unit and some of the rules that you may need to follow as a member of that organization. If you are looking to purchase, you need to watch this video next. I've done an entire series dedicated to buying, and this video is a great next step.